Today we're going to have a look at the latest release of Solus, which just came out a couple of days ago. This is 4.8, just released in November 29th. And Solus has been one of my favorite distributions. It's not one that I run in production, but it definitely is kind of at the top of my list of I sort of recommend this one. A lot of it is because the Budgie desktop is one of the most beautiful desktop environments with a lot of really nice built-in tools and features to it, and it does also generally look pretty good out of the box, with a few exceptions, which are easily solved by adding a few extra themes. And if you're unfamiliar with Budgie, it does have this Raven menu over here, which has all your notifications are over on this side here. So you can see we got notifications for various things there, and we got widgets over here, which we can add to. And on the widgets, of course, we have, by default, we have this calendar widget. We can very easily adjust our output settings and even our input settings over here on the menu. If you want some music playing, you can do this, and then if that'll actually launch Rhythm Box in this case here. And if you do that, whatever your music you're playing will actually appear over here on the sidebar, so you can easily manage it really quickly over there on the bar itself. So the Budgie system is very nice. Really, the only big downside I see of it is this is one of the desktop environments. When you have it, you tend to have multiple control centers. The Budgie control center, this is effectively the GNOME setting panel. This is highly based on GNOME. And then we have a Budgie desktop settings, two separate settings over there. And the Budgie desktop settings basically covers the framing of the whole desktop, including adjustments to the Raven menu. So this is your basic style with your themes. This is your desktop. Do you want icons or not? And then there's other mounts, click policy, single click or double click on things on the desktop, icon sizes. So there's a number of different features you can set. Here's your basic fonts. This is your Raven menu. These are the settings options and the widgets. So you can see we have the calendar, sound control, sound input, media controls. And then if you want, there's a bunch of other widgets you can add to the system as well. There's like a usage monitor there as well. So you can do stuff like that. And then here's your windows, which will give you your button layouts where your various option for your buttons are. Very nice there. So here you can see right now under the usage monitor, you can see my CPU, my RAM, and my swap is there now. So that's actually very nice. Here's the panels. You can add extra panels. So if you want panels top, bottom, sides, whatever, you can do that. And then these are the various items we have. The Budgie menu. We have the task list over here. And then at the end, we have effectively our system tray type things. And again, just like the other panel there, you have other options like caffeine's a good one. You can suspend the screensaver, night light mode built in, things like that. So there are actually a lot of really nice features built into the system here. Now the other settings panel, this is everything else relating to the system, and it's basically the same stuff you find on GNOME. Here's your Wi-Fi connections, networking stuff. Here's your Bluetooth. I did test Bluetooth. We're not going to show it here on the video, mostly because right now I'm recording this on Simple Screen Recorder, which leads me to, hey, we're on X still. Yay, I can use Simple Screen Recorder. And so with this, I did test it. So it's very easy. Just over here, Bluetooth was on. I turned on the speaker and it said, hey, would you like to connect? I did that and it connects perfectly fine. I'm not going to show you that because last time I was doing this with Simple Screen Recorder, it overwrote my microphone to the built-in microphone on that thing there. So but just say it does work. The only thing I noted about it is there is not a notification on the computer that it properly connected. I had to click on this and see here that it was connected. I didn't get a notification anywhere here. And apparently I didn't get one here. Otherwise it might be in there unless it's one of these two unread notifications. Nope. Apparently I cleared all notifications. So I did not get a notification that it connected, but it did actually properly connect the first time. Here's your backgrounds. This is our default. This is kind of an older version one. I really like that older, nice version one there. And then there's just a bunch of other stuff in here we have as well. So you can choose those. Here's how your notifications work. I don't know. Maybe there's a Bluetooth notification somewhere. Apparently not. Maybe that's why we didn't get one. Who knows? And here's your multitasking. All of these other options are familiar with you if you are in the familiar at all with GNOME. So here is your system information, this is running on real hardware on my 12th gen Intel i7. We have 16 gigs of RAM. We see our once again, though, just like I noticed, this reports incorrectly. This is not the system. This is apparently checking just the first hard drive the system sees, because the hard drive we are actually running the system off of is only 32 gigabyte. So this disk capacity on GNOME is not accurate. Just be aware of that if you have multiple hard drives in your system. Here's our Budgie version, our OS version, and you will notice our Windows system is X11. I think I can log out and jump into Wayland. Then we have the 6.17. They do make mention in the blog post that the I think it says that 6.12 is the current LTS. The current LTS you can install, although they don't have an easy way or necessarily instructions simply to do that. So I'd have to do a little bit of research to know exactly where that is. There's your file manager there. And the biggest change this one has here is they finally made the switch, dropping Python 2, going entire Python 3. The only application that was still a Python 2 holdout was the Software Center. So rather than rebuild the Software Center for Solus on Python 3, they instead opted to go with a pre-built solution. And I was actually very pleased. They went with Discover instead of GNOME Software Center on this one. Obviously, the GNOME version, they do use the GNOME Software Center. And I hate that Software Center. It functions. I'll give it that. But I hate it. It's slow. It seems buggy. It just feels encumbering. Discover is much nicer. And it's curious to me that they use Discover on Budgie since this desktop environment is so reliant on GNOME. But I think they made the better choice because the Discover Software Center is way better. One of the reasons they chose to go with Discover and the GNOME Software Center, depending on which version of this you get, is because this automatically supports Flatpak out of the box. And that's something they wanted to do. And that's something that in previous versions of Solus, you could not easily install Flatpaks, whereas now you can. So if I go in, I type in Audacity over here, and I can see here the default wants to install from the software repository, but I can pull this down and choose the FlatHub version instead. So you do have the Flatpak integration into this, and that's actually why this is a better choice. Now, under your settings, pull down your 3 bars here and configure updates. They have it set to automatically install updates immediately, which is kind of the old Linux default. Of course, GNOME and Plasma are kind of following the way after Windows, unfortunately, and they're doing this thing where it'll download all the software and then you have to shut your system down and reboot it in order to do it. They did seem to indicate in their blog post that this will be a default later, but for now it is still doing this. But just be aware, at least both of the systems, GNOME and Plasma, you can always go into this and manually set your system up to do it either after rebooting if you like that, or immediately if you prefer that. You can also turn on automatic software updates, which will automatically install things. And so you can turn this guy into a full-blown Windows computer if you want to set this to automatically and do them after rebooting, and then it'll nag you to, reboot your system. At least it will not forcibly shut itself down. That's something Windows likes to do that this at least will not. But just be aware that this version right now, it is doing the immediate updates, not after rebooting, but they did seem to indicate in their blog post they might toggle this back to the apply system updates after a reboot in the future. You can see here they've added Flatpak to this, FlatHub rather, and they have their basic repositories. If you want to add any other repositories, you can add those in here as well. And so everything else in Discover, I really liked what Plasma has done with Discover lately. I just think it's a very nice, slick, easy to use software installer, and it works great. Now, if you are fairly new to Linux, you might have heard things like apt or pacman or something. Apt, of course, the Debian-based systems, pacman, the Arch-based systems. That is neither one of those applies to Solus, which is its own independent Linux distribution. They use EO package here, which I cannot remember all of the specificities of EO package. I think it's just EO package install and the software name. I can't remember. Just be aware of that. We're not going to go over that in the video. Now, the other things that they're doing is they are making a push to go with Wayland only. And this version here, I was actually pleasantly surprised to see it still running on X. But future versions might drop X. Just be aware of that. But they do mention here what they're doing. Here's their statement on the 2 new software centers, which we've covered. They're using the GNOME Software Center if you use the GNOME version of this, and Discover if you're using the other three desktop environments. Here's, we mentioned the removal of Python 2. I didn't talk about the new website. That's cool. You can check that out. And then they just have a few other little points down here. This is where they say down here we have the 6.17 kernel ships. If you want the LTS, they have the 6.12 to pair it. This release ships with Mesa 25.2.6. I would have to look up how to add that different kernel. I didn't see anything immediate, and there's no system tools to do that, which is unfortunate. Now, here is your individual desktops. Again, we are on Budgie, which they are the creators of the Budgie desktop environment, and it is their flagship. And this one here has the newer version, and they're making this compatible with GNOME 49. The Budgie desktop and all applets have been built to use these different repositories, retaining support for Python. And they do have that new theme, which is the one you see here, which is very nice. I got to say, this is a very, very beautiful desktop. I do like what I'm looking at. It's pleasing to look at. And when I did run Solus in production for a period of time, I actually did not have a lot of problems with it. That was a period of time that if you did an update, I think in the GUI, it did crash the system. This was years ago. That fortunately has been resolved for a long time. This is the statement on GNOME. You want to be aware of this. So the GNOME version is running on Wayland. They are not shipping the X section, but if you still want to use X with Solus on GNOME, you need to install the GNOME Session Shell X package, but that will only apply through the GNOME 49 base. In the future, when they go with GNOME 50, which is what they're scheduled to do next year, GNOME will no longer support it at all. And so it will be Wayland only. So if you are a person that likes the GNOME desktop environment and you have been sticking on to X, it is time for you to start looking at Wayland, resolving all your issues, and moving software around. This is in one of my instances here is I use Simple Screen Recorder to record these videos because it works absolutely amazing. There is no good Wayland comparative to this. There are a few screen recorders for Wayland that will in theory work, but the best one I found is Blue Recorder. And when I click the stop recording button, I literally have to sit there and wait about 15 minutes for it to process the file and save to the desktop. That is not a good user experience. I have not found any other screen recorder that works consistently. Some people say OBS. Of course, yes, OBS will work, but OBS is not a simple screen recorder. It is a complicated program that will require a lot of configuration versus Simple Screen Recorder. I simply install it. I go through, just make sure I'm on the right microphone, and I push record. I don't have to do a ton of setup to get everything going. I don't have to go through a setup wizard and all this other kind of stuff just to record a simple desktop. That's the problem I have with Wayland. That's why I am committed to running X until we have actual good functioning screen recorders that functionally work. And that is one feature we just don't have yet. Nevertheless, they have just the updates there in GNOME 49. Here's the Plasma information. Once again, they are also looking to drop X altogether. So the Solus Plasma Edition, this one here, let's see, we no longer ship the X session by default. So once again, you will be Wayland only. You need to install Plasma X11 to get X on Plasma, but again, with the release of 6.8 scheduled for October 2026, almost a year from now, Plasma will no longer support X at all, and again, will be Wayland only. So you need to make sure your workflow is moved over appropriately. So then we have just some of the updates over there, and then we have the statement on XFCE, which all is fine over there. So there is the information that we've already covered, most of that. As far as getting this installed, it is fast, it is quick. I'm not seeing any lags, any bugs, anything like that. Let's see if I can get to a terminal with a hotkey. Nope, can't seem to do a terminal with a hotkey. Let's just find it over there. I don't know if HTOP is installed. Let's see if BTOP is installed. Nope, none of those are installed. Oh well. Let's just go ahead and look at the basic system monitor that is built in. So here's your system monitor that is built in. You can see we're running at 2.5 gigs of memory, so that's pretty high, but not super high in terms of how much RAM modern computers have on them. But just be aware it does have a little bit more information, or a little bit more system resources being used than a lot of other systems. Also, we have to account for the fact that I am doing a screen recording, so that could also have a thing to do about it. So as far as your accessories, they basically have a lot of good system tools. We have a screenshot tool. Never seen that one before. Huh, look at that. It's very familiar, just like everything else. There's a screenshot tool. We have disk, calculator, all the basic things that you might need. Oh, that's why I like the file manager. It's Nemo. Oh, I love Nemo. And here's your graphics. Here's our default search engine. Excuse me. Wow. Our default web browser is Firefox. We have Thunderbird. Under our Office, we have the basic LibreOffice suite. We have a calendar application and the celluloid for video, Rhythmbox for music. I installed Simple Screen Recorder to record the video. And the other thing we do have on this is we do have online accounts. So if you are using a Google account or a Microsoft account, shame on you. No, just kidding. If you are using those and you need them, you can go ahead and click on these. You can get yourself signed in. It will pull up your authentication. You can get set in, and then you can access your emails, your calendars, your contacts, your files with your Microsoft Office or your Google account. In my case, I use on my production computers, I will sync my Nextcloud, giving me access to calendars, contacts, files, and things like that. So there's a lot of other features there. If you have a Microsoft Exchange, you can do that over here, and basic IMAP stuff, you can do that. And when you do these, it just prevents you from having to create your accounts on every single email client you use, assuming you use multiple email clients. So the online account function is a good feature that is useful for many people. So there is Solus in a nutshell. Very good, very nice desktop environment, very nice, very good distribution itself. One of the things I really like about it is streamlined down, that if something ships in their repository, hopefully it works. I'd be curious to see if this Simple Screen Recorder is available on Wayland or not, because it won't work. But you can see that everything here is working great. So there is our take on Solus. Let me know your thoughts about that in the comments down below.